Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Adam's Theory. I am the arch fiend of hate himself, Adam, and thank you for joining me. So, I'm sorry that I haven't been posting for a little bit. I had a couple of side quests and had to take a little bit of time, but right now I'm taking a long rest and about to level up and wanted to take this opportunity to talk to pretty much make another episode and talk to you guys, all right? Now, today's episode is going to be a topic that is very dear to me. Um, it is about one of my favorite subclasses that I absolutely love to play. I played it through levels 1 through 20 many times, and I usually always have to go and defend this class. So I've had this debate with people on Discord. I've had this debate in some Facebook groups. So I'm very well versed in defending one of my favorite classes, and that is the monk. Um, the monk gets a bad rap of always being one of the weaker classes of D&D. And when I first started playing D&D, I would have to say like 2 years ago, I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of figure out why. Like, why does everyone hate this class so much? So I went, played it. I looked at a lot of YouTube videos about the monk and some advice on it. And after playing a few monks, levels 1 through 20, I would actually have to go and disagree with everybody's assessment that the monk is bad. In fact, I will go so far to say that the monk isn't bad. You're just a bad player. And of course, I will go and, explain and try to support my claims of how the monk is actually pretty good, but I just feel like a lot of people are just not playing the monk right. From what I hear, a lot of people, how people play the monk, it's like they are trying to eat soup with a fork. Yes, you can do that. It just won't be that effective. So, the first argument people usually bring about the monk is that, well, the monk is mad, and you have to go and dedicate resources in dexterity, your wisdom, and your con. And with that argument, I will go and say, well, isn't every class mad? Like, all right, so like look at the barbarian, okay? You need to invest in strength, you have to invest in con, and for unarmored defense, you got to go and invest in your dex to get good unarmored defense with it. If you are a paladin, you got to invest in your strength, your constitution, and also your charisma. That's pretty mad too. Oh, you're going to talk about like a bard or a warlock or a wizard? Yeah, you have to invest in either intelligence or charisma. You need to invest in your constitution, or you're not going to be able to save for a concentration check. And also, you need to invest in your deck so that way you have a decent armor with your mage armor. So I will go and say that, yeah, all the classes are kind of mad. So I just don't think that that's a good reason to kind of go and give the monks a lot of hate. Also, there's some people that also go and talk about the monk saying that, well, the monk doesn't have a D10, he has a D8 hit die, and he makes a bad tank. And I'm like, why are you using a monk as a tank? I understand that the monk has patient defense, which is an ability where you can, as a bonus action, take the dodge action. But why? All right, so unless you roll extremely well, most of the time your AC is going to be 15 to 16. That's not enough AC to really be in the front lines. You really shouldn't. You can't play the monk as a fighter, a paladin, or barbarian, be in the front lines just going and doing that. If you do that, then your monk, of course, your monk is going to go down a lot. What you're supposed to do with the monk is hit and run. You're supposed to play the monk almost like a rogue, but you're not hiding all the time. Um, you go hit a couple times, run back, hit a couple times, run back. Also, when you're playing the monk, there a skill that I see a lot of players don't use is your movement speed. As the monk, you have the most movement speed of any class. All right? The battlefield is you could use the whole battlefield. All right? You have 40 feet of movement that you could use your key to dash to have 80. All right? And there's some races where that you could pick that you could even have more of a movement speed. Why use this standing in one place? Go across the battlefield. Go hit an enemy. Run really far. So that way, if in order for the enemy to hit you, if they don't have a range attack, they got to come to you. Also, if they do have a range attack, and if it is a short bow, you could use your deflect missiles to kind of deflect it. Now, I will say this: in my experience playing the monk, there's been plenty of times where I will go and put myself in a position where, in order for the enemy to hit me, he has to shoot me with his bow, and the DM knows this and never does it. So that always got me a little bit upset. And I'm not going to talk too much about the new monk right now. I'll do that at a later time. But yeah, using that as an ability to deflect missile is a good ability to kind of manage some of the damage that you take. Something that a lot of players forget about. Okay. Also, a lot of people say, well, the monk does damage doesn't really scale well, and they don't do as much damage as other martial classes. Blah blah blah. First off, that's not the monk's job. The monk's job isn't go out there and do a whole bunch of damage. That's the paladin's job. That's the barbarian's job. What your job is to do is, yes, you don't do the most damage, but you attack the most. Between levels 1 through 4, you are attacking, and I do apologize if you hear the meows in the back. That's my cat trying to get my attention. All right, I have a really bad familiar. I got to get another one. Anyway, so levels 1 through 4, you're attacking 2 to 3 times. Okay, that's the most. All right, then anybody else is doing. Okay, which so you're attacking twice with your bonus action, 3 times with your key points, and that's before level 5. Okay, so yes, I'm not attacking. I'm not going and hitting you hard, but if I hit you enough, I should be good. All right, so you go, you hit, you run. Also, so because of that, I don't have to hit you. I don't have to hit you hard, and I'm a monk. I'm doing martial arts. Okay, I'm supposed to be a slender fighter that's kind of doing like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, if you're trying to hit heavy, that's not your job. Okay, leave the heavy hitting to the fighter or the barbarian. Also, with your movement speed, you go and you could decide who you actually want to engage in combat with. Okay, because I'm hitting so many times, I'm a big threat to spellcasters. That's right. You see a spellcaster out there that's concentrated on a spell that's kind of messing up the party. You go to his face. You're hitting them 3 times. Okay, that way to see if you could drop the concentration. All right. That is your job to do. You go and you can attack. You're running around the battlefield attacking who you need to attack. As a monk, you are the battlefield tactician. That does take some experience in playing with the monk. Not only are you got to focus on what you're doing, but you also got to focus on what your party is doing, what the enemy is doing, where's everybody at, and how you could get there. All right. Now, the next topic that people would like to bring up is the key points. Now, I will admit, at low levels, key points is trying to keep up with all your key points and not run out is a challenge. I would now after level 7 to 8, you're not really going to have the issue with key points anymore. Okay, but I would say that it's easier for me as a player to kind of keep track of my key points because I also main as a warlock. So if you're a warlock player, I'm used to pretty much playing with 2 spell slots, and I got to make those spell slots work. So as a monk, I will admit at low levels, a lot of everything that you do requires key. All right. So you have to be a little bit careful with whatever subclass that you worry that you're picking, because depending upon the subclass, you're gonna waste through a lot of your key points. Um, so it does require you to be a little bit careful. Do I use this key point to disengage? Do I use this key point to dash or dodge? Do I use this key point to do a stunning strike? These are all the questions that you do have to ask yourselves. And at low level, it is a challenge. I will totally do admit that, okay? But that is the challenge of playing with the monk, and you got to do it. It is something that has been updated, and I feel that, yeah, it's going to be very interesting with this new monk, but we'll we'll talk about that at another time. Also, the main ability of the monk is the level 5 ability, Stunning Strike. Now, I understand so many people want to crap on this ability because it requires the enemy to do a con save. And we'll admit, a lot of enemies do have good con saves. Uh, the stun condition is probably the second worst condition a player or NPC could have, or monster. The only thing that's worse than the stun condition is paralyze. All right. Um, Being able to stun an enemy could totally change the battlefield. Totally. It gives all attacks on that monster at advantage. So your rogue is going to love you. Your barbarian is going to love you because, oh yeah, I can hit this enemy and not have to do my reckless defense, reckless attack. Great, sure. So I can understand that being a problem. And if your DC is decent, you're going to stun a decent amount of enemies. All right, and it's gotten so bad with in my mini games of playing with the monk. I've had some DMs say that I can only use stunning strike once a turn. All right, because what I was doing is if I was fighting an enemy that had a legendary resistance, okay, where they can, and if I'm saying it wrong, I do apologize, where they could choose to pass a save if they fail. Yeah, with the monk, when I'm attacking you 4 times and forcing you to make a con save 4 different times, I yeah, I got a chance to pretty much make you fail. And if you use your legendary resistance, cool. That's one down. You only gonna have like maybe 2 or 3, and I just took one out. And eventually you're gonna run out. And if I stun you, after that I'm done. Also, another thing that I see a lot of monk players do that is a problem is after I stun you, leave. I'm not gonna go and continue to attack you. I stun you. I did my job. Now it's time for me to move on to another enemy so I could kind of go get them out to fight. All right. I let my team do the cleanup and stuff. Okay. I'm out there, you know, pretty much going in there. I do my job. I leave, and I'm going to take it on the next enemy. I'm gonna let my rogue. I'm gonna let my barbarian or fighter finish off the dirty work. Simple as that. Um. Also, another thing that I do feel about the monk is that granted magic items. I get it. The monk really doesn't have a lot of magic items that I feel like are fair. Okay. Yeah, we got the bracelets of defense. We can use ring of protection, cloak. What is it? Cloak of displacement. We could use those and stuff. And they're okay. But yeah, like certain monk items such as the dragon hide, the belt of dragon hide. Yeah, most DMs ain't gonna give you that. All right. All right, they're not going to go and give you an item. Well, if they're not going to give you an item that's going to increase your key DC and give you key points just on the fly. Okay, if they do, I give it a couple of sessions and they're going to say, "Yeah, this is too broken. Can't do it." Nah, 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 nah. All right, and then also they do have an item, the gloves of soul catching. Now, I will say this: I know earlier in this video I said that the monk is not a tank. But with the gloves of soul catching, oh yeah, you are a tank, getting all your hit points back with the hits. Okay, but once again, that's a legendary item that any DM that knows what they're doing, they're not going to give it to you. So I would like to see, more better magic items for a monk. Also, when it comes to a lot of the abilities the monks have, I think that you don't appreciate it. They're kind of situational, but when you get into the situation, you're happy that you have it. Being once again, the monk has the most movement speed, and it can honestly run anywhere. You can run across water. You can run vertically on walls. There, you could get anywhere you need to be. If you need to jump, you got slow fall. The monk has a lot of abilities that I think you just naturally forget about. Okay, like the monk has an ability where at higher levels where I think you can't be magically aged, which is something that you don't really need until I got hit with something and almost tried to age me 10 or 15 years. And I had another player had to remind me of it. I was like, oh crap, really? Thanks, appreciate it. So the monk does have a lot of abilities that I do feel that get overlooked until you really need it. At high levels, you're proficient in every save, like every save. You don't so to have that ability and for whatever reason you decide to get close to a paladin, yeah, you're passing every save. Okay, they try to shoot you with a fireball. Let me tell you something. As a monk, I think I have very, very, very few times has a fireball or a lightning bolt really did anything to me. Okay. Now I'm not just going to go and say here that the monk is perfect, not at all. But I just feel that a lot of the complaints about the monk are just unwarranted, and I just feel that a lot of the people that do play the monk, they're just not playing the monk correctly. So, with the new monk that's come out, they definitely has made it better, a lot better. Too good in my personal opinion. Like I think that we're going to have a lot of people start playing monk, and if you weren't good at playing the monk, which I'm not going to lie, the majority of people that's watching this video, they're not good at playing monks. They're going to be a lot better. But the players that are good at playing monks, that knows how to pretty much master, managing their key points and stuff and their placement on the battlefield, we are going to be a problem for the DM. All right, we really, really are. Okay, so later on, I'm probably going to do a video with talking about each class and prop on this channel, and also um, I'm gonna be working with some people on some other content with it of us talking about D&D. Because even though I love talking about D&D, talking by myself is kind of boring. So having some other people to talk to will be pretty good. Once that video comes out, I'll share the link. And I want to thank everybody for if you got to this point in watching the video. I like to thank you for it. I really do appreciate it. Um, I love D&D. I could talk about D&D forever, and I plan on doing a lot more of it. So please show some love in the comments. Um, Thank you very much for watching the video and stuff like that, and keep the hate strong in you. Peace.